This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 2nd day of September in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking tonight. With the move by the Ministry of Health to increase testing for COVID-19, it has resulted in a growing backlog of tests still to be completed, and many doctors in the public healthcare system are concerned. The ministry has admitted to the backlog and has indicated that it is now seeking the help of the Caribbean Public Health Agency to clear the backlog of hundreds of samples that have been taken but are still to be tested. The situation has become worrying for medical professionals who are concerned about the long wait. News Source has spoken to a number of persons who indicated today that they have been waiting on their test results for about 2 weeks. A Georgetown resident said a swab sample was taken from him since the 18th of August and he is still waiting on the results. He said repeated checks with the health officials have created more frustration for him since he has been in self-isolation since the sample was taken. News Source also understands that doctors at one of the public health facilities in the country were forced to clear a patient themselves as she was isolated at the government facility for 2 weeks without receiving her test results, although she showed no symptoms. Some persons have taken their concerns to social media about the situation. A senior medical official who asked not to be named said while the increase in testing was commendable, any increase in medical testing must be matched by capacity. The official said if it is that the virus could run its course within 2 weeks, then persons ought not be waiting 2 weeks for the results, since by the time they get the results back, they could either be cleared of the virus or in a serious health crisis. Based on the Ministry of Health's dashboard, which was released this evening, there are 477 positive cases of COVID in home isolation, with 71 other persons in a government-run facility. As of midnight last night, there were 9 new cases. The number of positive cases allowed to home isolate is also causing a headache for many doctors, who said one has to simply hope that those allowed to home isolate are doing just that and not spreading the virus by leaving their homes. More news coming up in a moment.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed and we were right there, standing with you, always near. Getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
New to online learning? You're probably wondering what it's like. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software with the help of our experienced tutors. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how tech can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Welcome back. In an interview released by the government's Department of Public Information, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony today announced that opposition members of Parliament Christopher Jones and Sherrod Duncan both tested positive recently for coronavirus and should still be in isolation at home. Both Jones and Duncan were present in the National Assembly yesterday for its opening and the swearing in of new members. The health minister said they should not have been there, and that was the reason behind his decision to inform the Speaker and the Clerk of the National Assembly of the medical status of the two members of Parliament.
They were tested, they were advised that they should stay home for at least 13 days, the first 10, and then the second 3, once they were asymptomatic, that they would then finish their home isolation. Both of them are still supposed to be in home isolation. And at the time when they got the positive test, to when Mr. Jones was in Parliament and Mr. Duncan was in Parliament, it's within that time frame. So both of them have breached the rules that we have for self-quarantine.
In a statement last evening, the opposition APNU-AFC coalition chided the health minister on the Jones issue. The APNU-AFC indicated that Mr. Jones was tested positive and had completed his period of isolation, in keeping with recently announced protocols by the same health minister. Information on Mr. Duncan's positive COVID-19 result was only made public this morning, after it was published on the Facebook page of the Attorney General Anil Nandlal. Efforts to contact Mr. Duncan for a comment today proved futile. In a DPI interview, the health minister also said, based on the information that he has received, both Duncan and Jones should still be in isolation. While he could not provide details on the date the tests were done and the dates the results were received, the health minister said he still believes the action of the two MPs going to Parliament was irresponsible. But the APNU-AFC in its statement last evening reminded the minister that two government ministers who had also tested positive for coronavirus were also present in the National Assembly, and no information has ever been provided on their updated status since that positive test. The Clerk of the National Assembly had indicated to members of Parliament that they could join the parliamentary sittings remotely if they might have been exposed to COVID-19. Late Tuesday, the Ministry of Health announced that 2 more persons have died from the coronavirus, and that takes the total number of deaths in Guyana to 43. In its statement, the Ministry of Health explained that a 29-year-old woman from Region 6 and a 72-year-old man from Region 4 were admitted, but their positive test results came back after their deaths. The release did not provide details as to when the two were admitted, when they died, or when the positive results were confirmed. But the ministry has indicated that it has been in contact with the relatives of the two as part of contact tracing. The 2 latest deaths have taken the total number of deaths in the past month to 23. There were 20 deaths in the previous 4 months. In an address to the nation to mark the start of Amerindian Heritage Month, President Irfan Ali has promised to do more and keep his campaign promises to the indigenous communities. The president in the address zeroed in on the coronavirus situation in the interior regions and said the government will be lending more support to assist the affected villages.
One of the first tasks I did as president was to work with Vice President Jagdeo, who has responsibility for finance, and your subject minister in reprogramming resources that were there. Some of these resources have already been reprogrammed to bring back the solar panel program to your household, to give you back the 1 laptop program in your communities, to give you electricity in your communities. $10 million has already been reprogrammed for this from an Indian line of credit.
President Ali also announced that the government will soon initiate a virtual consultation with the National Tushaus Council to chart the course of the delivery of its promises during the recent election campaign.
Guyana's forest people can be assured that under my administration, your economic and social empowerment will be non-political and non-negotiable. As promised in our manifesto, we'll ensure greater participation by villages in government projects and increased representation of Amerindians on government boards. The Amerindian Act will be revised and strengthened, but importantly, in consultation with local leaders and communities. Food production will be expanded and food processing will be increased to bolster hinterland food security. Skills training relevant to the oil and gas sector will include Amerindians business facilitation, agricultural development, and of course, ensuring that Amerindians have access to university education and technical education. These are the promises we made, and we are going to deliver on these promises to you.
This year's Amerindian Heritage Month celebrations are being held under the theme Fostering Traditional Practices for a Safe Environment. The president said the theme emphasizes the key role which cultural assets, including indigenous knowledge, traditions, and customs and lifestyles can play in ensuring a safer environment. Opposition leader Joe Harmon, while announcing that the APNU-AFC in opposition will give support to issues of national security, national interest, and territorial integrity, has also indicated that it will not be business as usual in the new parliament.
I can assure you and all of Guyana that we will ensure every day starting today, the PPP government knows that it will not be business as usual. We will give our critical support as it relates to issues of sovereignty of our nation, public security, and other matters we determine to be in the public interest.
The APNU-AFC coalition has 31 seats in the 65-member National Assembly. Although the coalition has a number of new faces, it intends to push a strong legislative agenda in the House.
We are committed to a robust and aggressive legislative agenda to see the removal of this fraudulent PPP from government, so we can continue to work and build that which we started when we were in government and which we've already commenced.
The opposition leader said the coalition will be paying close attention to the upcoming budget presentation and will fully participate in the budget debate. He said already the PP Civic Administration, which he maintains is fraudulent, will have lots of questions to answer about recent appointments. Let's tell you now that leader of the opposition, Joe Harmon, has publicly released his certificate of loss of U.S. citizenship, confirming that he is no longer a dual citizen. In the document, which carries a U.S. government seal, it reveals that the application for his relinquishment of his U.S. citizenship was approved on the 8th of October 2019. Mr. Harmon said he wants to see Minister of Governance Gail Teixeira and new Member of Parliament for to join the list, Lennox Schumann, do the same. Both held Canadian citizenship. Under the Constitution of Guyana and in keeping with a ruling by the Guyana High Court and the Court of Appeal, persons who hold dual citizenship are prevented from running for a seat in the National Assembly and occupying a seat. Just before the swearing in of new members of Parliament yesterday, the Clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, reminded members of Parliament of the constitutional provision and the court's ruling. He also requested proof from the members that they have relinquished their foreign citizenship. Police investigators are this evening probing the murder of a vagrant who did odd jobs at the border market over a $200 debt. 52-year-old Ovid Chester, who was originally from Vrijslas on the east coast of Demerara, was stabbed multiple times to his body today after he was confronted by another vagrant who accused him of not paying him $200 for an item that he had sold for him. The two men got into a fist fight after Chester told the man that he did not have any money. The fight quickly escalated in full view of vendors, and during the clash, the man whipped out a knife and repeatedly stabbed Chester about his body. The injured Chester ran from the scene but collapsed and died a short distance away. Paramedics were summoned to the scene and they pronounced him dead. The suspect has since been taken into police custody as the investigations are ongoing. In the courts, Cuban national Yuri Garcia and his Guyanese wife Atika Ishmael were back in court again today to face additional charges related to their operation of a financial investment company that is suspected of being involved in an alleged Ponzi scheme. Today, they faced 11 new charges of conspiracy to commit a felony. The couple appeared via Skype before Magistrate Delon Bess at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, and they were not required to enter a plea to the charges. The court was told that between May and July of this year, with intent to commit a felony, the two conspired with persons known and unknown to obtain a total sum of $75 million from 11 alleged victims on the false pretense. They were granted bail in the sum of $3.3 million and will have to make their next court appearance for the latest charges on the 7th of September. They are already facing 4 to 1 similar charges in 3 different courts. While 3 of the courts granted them bail, they are still on remand because of the first court refusing them bail. The couple's attorney is expected to approach the High Court for bail to be granted. He has maintained their innocence. Attorney Dexter Todd has accused the police force of abusing the process of the court by bringing the charges separately over a number of days. He told News Source that the police force is well aware of all the allegations, but investigators have been strangely separating the charges. The probe into the operations of the finance trading company was triggered after the Attorney General Anil Nandlal claimed that he received reports of several persons being duped out of their investments in the company. While he has accused the company of breaking several money laundering laws, none of the charges are related to money laundering. Across the region is coming up next. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
New to online learning? You're probably wondering what it's like. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software with the help of our experienced tutors. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how tech can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has announced that he will be asking for volunteers to test the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Russia. Russia was the first country to officially register a vaccine against coronavirus back in August. The Venezuelan government, which has received billions of dollars in loans from Russia, said it would be willing to take part in clinical trials. The Venezuelan government, which has received billions of dollars in loans from Russia, said it would be willing to take part in clinical trials. Russian scientists had said early-stage trials of the vaccine were a success, although the vaccine's approval by regulators comes before the completion of a larger study involving thousands of people. A strengthening tropical storm Nana was expected to become a hurricane before striking Belize before dawn Thursday and drenching a good part of Central America, with dangerously heavy rainfall, the U.S. National Hurricane Center reported today. Forecasters put the entire coast of Belize on the hurricane watch and warned that people in Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico should closely monitor the storm's progress. It said none is expected to pass near but north of the coast of Honduras on Wednesday and likely reach Belize early Thursday. Strong winds, a dangerous storm surge, and very heavy rainfall causing flash flooding are likely. And finally tonight, international news. The United States has imposed sanctions on senior officials in the International Criminal Court, including the Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused the court of illegitimate attempts to subject Americans to its jurisdiction. The Hague-based International Criminal Court is currently investigating whether U.S. forces committed war crimes in Afghanistan. The U.S. has criticized the court since its foundation, and is one of a dozen states which have not signed up for the International Criminal Court. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.